a leading Nigerian public intellectual who is also a university administrator and a professor. He was the founding vice chancellor of the Redeemers University for the Nation, and was a former regional virologist for the WHO. He won in 2002 the Nigerian National Order of Merit, and is here with us returning to Inside Sources. I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources Professor Oyewale Tomori. Prof, you're welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much, Laulu. It's always a pleasure to be here.
So as you reflect, and then in another 4 months, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be marking 3 years in May. We're already virtually in February now. Where do you see things? You have, expressed some of the expectations that people like you had in the early 60s when there was so much hope and expectation about Nigeria. Now, as you turn 80, where do you think Nigeria is going, Prof?
Thank you very much. I think as we were talking, my mind was going back to my secondary school essay, which I wrote for SchoolSat. And the topic was my country in 20 years' time.
When was that?
That was in 1962.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd hoped by 1982, I was going to be living in a country, where things were what it should be. Unfortunately, we are where we should not be. But even at that time, what we were then, I don't think Nigeria has even reached that level. I think we've gone back because of all the problems that came almost 2 years after we wrote that essay. A crisis in the old Western region, the military coups, the civil war, and all that. I think each of those drew us back. And right now, the president has he's done 3/4 of his first term. Yeah. Only a miracle will see us in the last quarter for him to achieve what we think he should achieve. So far, I don't think you can measure it by what you've done. It's more propaganda than reality. And I think it's sad because we had hoped so much that things would change.
Even under the current...
Yes, under the current administration. There was so much promise they gave. Agenda, propaganda, mandate and campaigns and all those type of things, renewed hope and whatever. It's almost like a renewed dope for us now, the way things are. Unfortunate,
But so, if we ask you, what do you think constitutes your own, if based on your own perception, the greatest disappointment that we have had to deal with as a nation?
I think for me, well, we know the issue of the economy, the naira and all those things going down, but still, I think if we had used what we have properly, my greatest disappointment is the profligacy of the governance. Governance has cost so more than you can imagine. And that the cost of governance is creating a lot of the problems for us. If we spend half of what they are spending on themselves on the people, Nigeria will be a better place. I've just read in one of the newspapers, they were talking about 1.9 billion to buy vehicles for the government officers. And yet, next door, PHC doesn't have an ambulance. So you should little things. Satisfy the people a little bit. Put some basic things in place. And then we can say, yes, at least you are trying. But you're telling us, tighten your belt, and then you are losing your own belt and wearing kembe. It doesn't work. That's the kind of thing I think we need to look at. And if they are really suffering like the people and feeling like the people feel, I think we'll be better off. This country has enough resources. Let nobody deceive us. We are not resource limited. As I always say, we are wasteful and we are squandering. And who are the people doing it? The elite, not the political elite, not the people. Because if half of that money goes down to the people, people will be appreciated. They're making great fool of us, and they want us to be grateful. That's what is happening.
They're making great fools of us.
Fools of us.
And they want us to be grateful. Oh, wow.
That's it. That's the situation we're getting.
What the line? So I want to explore something that you said about political elite. One of the things that I have observed is that there seems to be, for the most part, there seems to be a conspiracy of silence by other elites outside of political elites. Yes, I agree with you that the political elites, they run the show, they drive the car. But I have been astonished, because, you were around, Prof, when we were fighting the military, we had a lot more clamor,
Sure.
than this. Professional groups, in different forms. We are very, very vociferous. I have seen what seems to be a conspiracy of silence by people, by leaders outside of politics. If you agree with that, what do you think is responsible for it? Or if you don't agree with it, let me know.
No, I do agree with you. I do agree with you. Part of it is that there are 2 or 3 different of political people. There are those who are actually part of the political thing behind the scene. They are gaining from what is going on. They are happy with it, so they can't complain. There are those who are afraid. They are scared for them, not really, maybe not for themselves, maybe for their family. What will happen if I go? What will happen to my child? What will happen to my parents? All those are factors also that make you keep your quiet,
Yeah.
There are others who basically are just cowards. I mean, there's nothing you do. They're too scared, for whatever it is. And majority of us in this country, we live by, we worry too much about what are people going to say about me. Are you the only one there? There are others too, that kind of thing.
Right.
And once we read that, and there are a lot of good things in our culture, but there are parts of it that make us what we are, subservient and permanently in a position of which we find ourselves. And like I was mentioning, there are countries too who are suffering, but the time came, they woke up. Bangladesh drove their president out, a few or two other people did that, things like that. So why not? We can. We are divided by so many other things. There's the tribe thing, there's the religion thing, all sorts of that, and that's why we cannot speak with a voice.
Okay. I mean, so I wanted to get that one out of the road. And then let's look at the narrative of the president. For instance, he says that, look, subsidy has been removed. There's now a lot more money in the hands of government. And in the federal allocation, there has been a significant raise in what the governors take. And I think that statement is factual.
No argument about
it. Now, and he argues then, the president says that, look, governors have to take care of stuff. Now the governors come back and say, oh, well, yes, there's more money, but inflation has ridden into it, and then all kinds of excuses. I want to ask you, how do you balance that issue? Do you think that we are not paying enough attention to what those governors are doing? Are we all too focused on the center?
2 things. I mean, again, let's look at it. First of all, the governor side. They obviously have no excuse for what they're doing. With the resources they have, I mean, they should make a change in the life of the people. Let me give you one good example that's been going on now about, remember the explosion in Ibadan?
Yes.
And there was this argument, with the federal government give money, they don't give money, and there was argument about, and then the state government says, oh, we had 30 billion, but we're asking for 50. What have you done with 30 billion? What type of excuse is that? I mean, you got half of what you did. Do half with that one now first.
More than half.
What are you waiting for? Exactly. What are you waiting for the other one? That's number one. Number two.
You meant that he was silent about what had happened to the 30 billion?
Yeah, they've not told us what they did with the 30 billion. Only they told us that, we asked for 50 billion, we got 30. That's not the kind of thing. What did you do with the one they gave you? That's number one. I think also the presidency itself, I don't know what, of course, there's also the political thing. Perhaps he was soft-pedaling on the governors because he's thinking of his second term. I mean, let's be frank. Yeah. If I give money, I expect you to accountability to answer me for what you are doing. It's not for him to sit down there and say, I give you money, what? Go ask your governor. Should you were the one who gave the money. Go and ask what you have done with the money I give you. Why are you pushing that on me to force my government? Yet we should tell our government. But for the man who gave the money, should be telling the government, if you don't give me, I'm not giving you the next batch.
Well, they will say that they are entitled to the money.
Yeah, entitlement, what have you done?
Not doing them any good.
What have you done with the entitlement? That's where we should be looking at. It's not whether you're entitled. They give you a good position to help the people.
Yeah.
And you're not helping the people, then you don't deserve the entitlement.
Yeah.
And that's my own attitude to it.
Yeah, and I agree with that, the president has a bully pulpit that he can use. And if you look at him very well, when he was pushing the tax reform, and we're going to talk about that very briefly, when he was very bullish about it. The National Economic Council, in an unprecedented resolution, asked the president, say, look, pull out those bills and let's negotiate. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that the National Economic Council, chaired by the vice president, You know, the deputy to the president will be able to do that. I was in that council,
Yes, okay.
sitting there for 8 years.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and I knew, you know, how we tried to, you know, just get things done behind the scene. But in an unprecedented show of, look, we don't want this thing to go on like this, the governor said, no, Mr. President, put it back. But the president, in a show of his authority, which, by the way, I supported at that point, because I thought, hey, look, let's just do this before we're going to do it. The president said, I am not removing the stuff. Let us go and have the consultation in the National Assembly. My point, Prof, is that he was bullish about it. He was bullish. There was no time for, you know, for platitudes, of pleasantries,
you're right.
or luxuries, you know, and he had his way. Ultimately, he had his way. Now, why he has not done that in the area, for instance, of state police and few other things is what strikes me that, you know, I mean, so the president tells us that, oh, look, go and ask them. Just like you said, you can also use the police pulpit and go after them. What's your take, Prof?
I wish he'd be more bullish, as he did with tax in other issues. We'll be in a better position. Because, for example, he's the president.
Yeah.
Everything comes out to his table.
Yeah.
And it's his legacy we're looking at. He did that with tax. He should have done with the other things for the welfare of the people, for the good of the people. I mean, there are people who are misreading. I've done a bit of that tax. And when you look at it, a few people are taking undue advantage because they think people don't understand what is there. Listening to one of the voices, oh, the people who are getting something, a certain amount of money, they will still be paying more tax. But then when the taxman came and said, look, there are certain tax allowances.
Yeah.
But then you take all those tax allowances out. The man who is lower than, so he's not paying tax. It's better understanding. We have that information. Just give it to the people. Let them know what it is. And now I'm saying that, again, when you are, I wish it was only one-term president. And then I have nothing more to be afraid of, whether I'm going to win the next election. Yeah. To me, it can be bullish, but you cannot be over bullish. I mean, this is part of the, it also comes in for 2027.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, to me, may be the reason why it's subsidized. But I think there are certain things, it's the people you are serving, you know, not yourself.
Yeah.
And do it for the people. We will remember you, you know, for how many of those are governors who messed us up, do we remember now? When you mention their name, instead of saying good morning prayer, then you send curses after them. You know.
So what's your view on the tax reforms generally, you know, including the controversy about gazetted and alteration and all of that?
For me, like, I mean, the issue of the wrong thing being gazetted, those are errors. If they are true, let them go and sort that out. I mean, it's not a major problem. The printer that printed can unprint.
Yeah.
Bring the two together, see where the errors are, and then go and repeat that. That's secondary as far as I'm concerned. But I think the more important thing is that people need to educate people more. That what they have brought is actually going to bring you less tax.
Yeah.
And when you read it, it's true. So we need more information to the people.
Right.
We are at a meeting now with Nigerian Academy of Science. We have an annual general meeting.
Right.
And we're looking at science and the market, you know, bringing science to the market, research to the market. And I was telling our people that research actually should start from the market. Because you know what the problem is in the market, then you put your research to solve that problem. It is not you do research and then go to the market when it doesn't fit in this thing. The tax reform, more time should have been spent with the people. So let them understand in their own different languages. This is what it is. This is what you get before. This is what they're going to get after. And a lot of people are taking on their advantage because they assume people are not reading it. You know, when I said people are making great fools of us and want us to be grateful, that kind of thing, most people are using that one. Some people are using it for their own advantage and making comments we know are not right. But the taxman should do a little more.
Right.
Not just on TV, little information at the local level, just like we did for polio. We went down to the grassroots. Employ the people, get that message down to the people, and show it to them that this is what this tax is all about. Exactly, you know. I mean, how much do we know? How many people have television? How many people have time to read newspapers? So you have to go to their own level. Where do they meet? In the beer parlor, in the places where we meet. Go there and tell them this is what is happening about the tax.
Interesting point, you know. So I'd like us to talk about healthcare because I know that you are also very much involved. You know, you like we said during the introduction, you were the former regional virologist for WHO. You are a professor of virology, you know, and you are involved generally in healthcare. Where are we in healthcare? well, not just limited to this government.
Yeah.
How do you assess, and the reason why I ask this question is because there are two things, that I think we determine what is really happening and where people are going: education and health. Those are social issues, and they're also human capital development issues. So let's talk about health. Where is the Nigeria state of healthcare today, Prof?
One of these things, no matter how well, let me give kudos to Professor Pate for a lot of different things they're doing. But you see, when the ocean is rotting, you are putting fresh water. It's going to take a lot of fresh water to overcome that decadence in the ocean. So the little thing they are doing, they say, yeah, I'm making this, but the impact is not being filtered down. And it all boils down to health is not a federal government business only. Health is at the level of the state government, it's at the level of the local government. It's also at the level of the community. It is important to let everybody know what role each of us have to play.
Right.
And once you explain that to you and enable them to perform in their own different areas, it's that combination that will bring our health to this thing. It's going to take a much longer system because most of it is focused on federal government.
Yeah.
Party is doing this, party is doing that.
Yeah.
But then it's not getting down to the local government, to the community.
Yeah.
But each of us has to have an input into it. By your own behavior, the kind of things we're doing, make the health better. Even when you're putting it, take issue of malaria. You said, okay, we're doing all the malaria vaccine or something, but yet your gutter is still loaded with mosquitoes. Mosquitoes all over front of your house, all sorts of things that they're nature. Each of us have a role to play in this thing. One government alone cannot sit down there and because they've done that, they think they've found the solution. Yeah, you saw it, but we go back to the same way we came from and get back at malaria again, and you start with this. So at the end of it all, let's all of us get involved in health. And, not leave it to federal government. I will go into the issue of disease surveillance. Every year we talk about Lassa fever. Right. We're setting up technical working group to look at this thing. At one of the meetings I was telling them, I said, you people make me sick. Oh. Yeah, because we know every year Lassa will come. We don't have to wait till January to begin to set up technical working group.
Yeah, because we know it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. we did the same for polio. Polio, we open up an EOC. It's a daily affair. It's not waiting for the peak of it before you set up a committee on this thing. And right now, some of the things they are doing, they are still going through the old system. The health now doesn't require the old civil service thing. I'll write to the minister before I can go and investigate an epidemic. Epidemic is not going to wait for the writing the minister. It should be on ground. Any epidemic, I'm out there without waiting for minister to approve. It is your mandate. Go and get it done. And then it is, a disease occurs in those villages. That's where we should start from. Equip those people at that level to manage their own health. Then the federal can come in at it much later. Now it is federal that is going to the village to go and pick the samples. Those kind of nonsense. It shouldn't happen. By now, we should have equipped our people at a different level. We were doing it before. In the ages when I started virology, it was the state that was running epidemics.
Wow.
We were going, we had only one lab in the country at that time. Everyone, we had modulation. Federal only came in at the last moment.
So what changed?
Suddenly, okay, see what is happening. Then they say, oh, this is within state, whatever. They are ready when it comes to the state to take the money, but they're not ready to take the action. And suddenly, I think federal also enjoyed being the one that gives all the money out. Yeah, and therefore, so they too kind of accepted it. Each person has a role. Go back and do your role. And that's the kind, but we're not doing that now. So the federal can continue to do all the inputs. States are not talking, local government are not talking. It's like a drop in the ocean of decadence.
Wow, interesting. Now, I have an idea about, an effective national health insurance policy where the federal government contributes and individuals who are able to contribute, private institutions who are able to contribute, and where those Nigerians who don't have the resources can get decent healthcare, decent treatment. Do you think it is possible? Because that has not really happened. The Professor Pate is doing quite a lot of things, but one of my own critical observation is that we have a report of a national healthcare, privatization of the, insurance. in such a way that government contributes, and majority of Nigerians who can afford it they will be able to access it, even though, they can't pay. Because government will pay, private sector will pay, individuals who are able to pay. Something like what is happening in the United States.
Yeah.
But the minister hasn't considered that as a priority. What's your own view in terms of, and you have spoken now today about the fact that these things don't go down. Is there a better model?
Even with the U.S. model, there's still a problem.
Yeah, of course.
With all the bills and things they're doing over there, one has to also be very careful when it gets to the hands of the private sector. The people who can afford will still not be able to afford it. And a lot of poor people in America, even though they have insurance, there are only certain things they can do with it. I think at the end of it all, it will be what federal government is doing can only cater for its own staff, federal ministry staff or something. State government should be involved in that. So we're breaking it down.
So they cater for their own staff.
Yes, exactly.
What about the mass of the people?
Government. Now, it becomes, when you make it a private investment, the government has to invest in that.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Government has to invest.
Government still has to invest, yeah.
Into that and make it a lucrative thing for somebody. With that government investment, but limiting it to just the ministry staff or government staff, it takes out 90% of the people.
Yeah.
So there must have to be other involvement.
Yeah.
Encouraging other people in the private sector to get involved in this. All the HMOs and things that we have in America, a lot of it is also from private individuals. So we need to get both the private and the government. Government can solve it out. They are catering for their own people.
Yeah.
But how many people are government's people?
Very, very.
Yeah, so these are the issue. These are the areas where now we need to bring the health insurance in. But there are so many things concerned with the health insurance that I think we need to sit down. And it also comes down to the fact that how do we explain to the people? Look at the attitude to insurance, even for cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have a very poor insurance.
Exactly. So we need
just like people don't want to pay tax.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing. I mean, if everybody is going to third party because the law is against that kind of thing. But basically, I think we need to. It's a holistic thing. What are the advantages of being involved in health insurance? What are the disadvantages? What are you going to pay for it? I don't think we explain enough to our people. We just assume, put the rule down, go ahead and do it without getting our people involved. And I started by saying research starts from the market.
Yeah.
We are doing research to improve the market, but your origins just start with the market. What is the problem in the market that I want to research on? If I sit down in my lab and research or whatever, it doesn't read the market, it's of no use to them. Yeah. I must understand what is there before I say, okay, how can I improve with my research? And so when I bring it, people are aware. Because that was the solution of the problem you told me initially.
Interesting. So as I begin to wrap up, I want you to also talk about medical malpractice. We had a very sad case. I mean, even before this particular one, we know that quite a bit of medical malpractice is going on in the country. There doesn't seem to be a systemic way of trying to undo it. At least we don't know. Chimamanda Adichie, our award-winning global sister, lost her son, I think 22 months old.
It's unfortunate.
Kanu. And she made a very passionate and quite heart-rendering tweet to explain the circumstances that this was just a regular, normal procedure that ended up, killing her son. Then there's this case of this woman, Aishatu Umar, in a Lagos hospital, who was, undergone had an operation, and they left surgical scissors in, I think she died also. So what's your own take about this medical malpractice, and how can we make people in the medical profession to be more responsible? What's your own experience? What do you know?
The information we have is what we hear. But we do know individual people have had problems of negligence. When we talk about malpractice or negligence in this thing, you have to take the whole health system.
Yeah.
It starts from the laboratory. You make a mistake in your diagnosis, it's going to affect people all the way. Even coming in for admission in the hospital, all those things are the malpractice. Commonly is only when the people die, or maybe an important person get know that you ever know about it. There are thousands and many cases that are going on, which are never reported. We need to begin to talk. We don't say anything, and that's the problem. It happens to be the Adichie involved, and because of our position, we got to know how many more are happening that we're not aware of. Until people begin to learn of their rights, and that's why education is very important.
Yeah.
You know what your right. This is what you expect. This is what I'm supposed to. If anything happens, the doctor is God. And you know our cultural attitude.
Right.
Balance Shefeni, and that's the way God will see things, that kind of thing. We need to move away from that. Get our people educated to even begin to report. Take the issue of vaccination, for example. There are many people with adverse effects. It is not to frighten us away from vaccination.
Yeah.
Every life is a balance. There will be pluses, there will be minuses. But we need to report that so that we know how to do it better.
Yeah.
And issues like this that occur, quick investigation and proper sanction will stop it. But having said that, you take also the environment where you are. There's malpractice in the US with all the facilities they have. So you can imagine it's going to be worse here. You are working, like they said, you're working and power goes off. Those are kind of things. The enabling environment for good practice is not there. And we need, so when we're looking at the end result, we should see the beginning.
Process, yeah.
So if you don't improve all those things, if your hospital was not, if these doctors are on strike because they're not paying their salary, of course that you get at the end of it all. And like I said, it just happened that this one came up to the news. Right. There are 1,001 cases going on which we don't know. Wow. Who are suffering wherever they are, and nobody talks because they don't even know it's their right to ask those questions. So I think at the bed of it all, I keep talking about educating our community, making them aware of what their rights are. Allowing them to speak their mind, say it and what it is. And the more of it people go to know. A lot of the doctors, they're under pressure with all this around. So the human errors and all that kind of thing. So but all those are factors. How do we improve that? The other day I was talking about, people in diaspora, and we say, please come back to your country to do this. And I said, no, have you ever asked what drove them away in the first place? Has the situation improved? I mean, if I left because there was no, and the situation I was, am I going to come back? So we should start from where the problem is. We are attacking the problem in diaspora from the top end when the problem is here. We should solve that problem at the beginning. Enabling our people. We have talented people all over this country.
Absolutely.
You leave this country, tomorrow you excel like this thing and see what is happening. But because the environment won't allow you to be that, and then you get there, you become an expert. And everybody says, Nigerians are doing wonders over there. Why are they doing wonders? They're the same Nigerians, they were trained in Ibadan, Unifair, all those places. But because that environment for them to do something, the things they are thinking of is not to improve, for just to survive, to be able to do something. That's the basic issue. And we need to address those foundational things. Yeah. We've neglected all those things for so long, and that's where we are. Interesting.
I'd like to ask you finally about this federal government agreement with ASU.
With ASU.
It looks to me that, this is one credit that maybe we won't be able to deny the president, because the 2009 agreement, now ASU has come out and said, okay, this matter has been settled, and we even hear that the professors are going to get about 40% increase in their salary. What's your take on that?
I only wish that happened when I was a professor. but really, there are a few things they've done. I mean, no doubt about that. And we must point those out, just as you have pointed out.
Yeah.
The ASU agreement is something, we never expected it.
Yeah.
Because, we had ministers before, who there with them and nothing happened.
Yeah.
But you see, there's always one good thing about life. When you do evil to your people, it catches up with you. I don't want to be pointing individually. I knew he was a minister then. I know where he is now under EFCC control. These are issues. Do the good thing. We remember you for the good things you've done. This one that is there, everybody's saying within this, they agree. But then there's also one thing. They've done this one, it's not left on our own side. They ask you to respond with responsibility of all this. There are a lot of nonsense going on in our universities. We use the excuse because of what the government has done. Government has moved in that way. We too should move forward.
Very important point. Actually,
that's where we need to come together.
Because it turns out that ASU now there's pluralism even in university, varsity lecturers, unions. There is also CONWA.
Sure.
And they came up because, they had issues with ASU. They thought that, look, we can be more creative. This idea of strike. So to your point that, so it's not as if it's everybody in the university system that are thinking in one way, which to me represents more of an intellectual, environment.
We all go in one direction like sheep.
But we have to give Dr. Alausa the credit, and President Tinubu,
To me,
for softening, and we hope. And I mean, I wanted to know: do you expect that we will have now some kind of stability in the universities?
it is expected that, I mean, obviously from what it was in the past to what it is now. And that's why I said that, we also need to reciprocate.
Yeah.
Meet themselves way, and then we can even move forward better. Once we get to that level, other things can come.
Yeah.
It is now in a position, as I said, really give commendation to this government.
But
But
at
it is a great thing they've done. And we need to move on from there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Professor Oyewale Tomori. Thank you for your insight, and thank you for your forthright voice. And let me also say again, happy birthday in advance. You are looking very, very not 80.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. To God be the glory indeed. And thank you for coming to Inside
My
Sources.
pleasure, always.
Okay.